the recording. Let's start. Today we'll first do Omkara Dhyana and then get into the contemplation of the shloka number 4 of the Mandukya Upanishad. So let's sit and do Omkara Dhyana, meditation on the Omkara for some time. Close your eyes. Relax. Let us start Omkara Dhyana, Omkara meditation. Take a deep breath, breathe in deep. As you breathe in, your lungs expand and the stomach expands. When you breathe in, stomach expands. Breathe in deep. Breathe out. As you breathe out, the stomach moves in. Breathe out slowly, without making a noise, without making a sound. Breathe in again, slowly, deep. Breathe out, slowly. Breathe in again, slow and deep. Breathe out, relax. Let us start by chanting Akara. You can chant along with me. Don't chant loudly, neither too soft. You should be able to hear. And when we chant Akara, the vibration starts and happens in the stomach area, the energy center of the body. Chanting of Akara purifies the energy center, transforms the body and mind, and helps the vital energy move upwards, which will lead you to liberation. Let us start with Akara. Let us chant together. Observe the silence and the energy movement in the body. Let us chant Ukara. The chanting of Ukara is felt, the vibration happens in the chest area. Chanting of the Ukara purifies the emotional center, heals the mind, and frees the mind from disturbing, distorting emotions, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. You become free from all disturbing emotions. Let us chant Ukara. Let us chant Makara now. Chanting of Makara moves the energy from the bottom of the spine to the top of the head. Chanting of Makara energizes the top of the head, the brain, and connects the individual with the universal. Keep your awareness either at the top of the head or at the center of the forehead. Now, let us chant Akara, Ukara, Makara together. Stay with the awareness of the top of the head. Now let us chant Omkara and make the journey from sound to silence. And in the silence after the Om, we realize that we are not the body, mind, or intellect, but pure consciousness, Brahman. Sit silently. Sit silently. Let's begin the session. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. My pranams to all. My pranams to Sadguru. Slowly open your eyes. So welcome to the fourth session on the contemplation on Mandukya Upanishad. We'll quickly see what we understood and studied in the previous session and go to the shloka of this session. Today we're taking up the fourth shloka of the Mandukya Upanishad. The Mandukya Upanishad has 12 shlokas, and in 12 shlokas, using Omkara as the reference and framework, explains how Jiva is Atma and Atma is Brahman. So our journey is from Jiva, being an individual, to realizing that you are consciousness. And Mandukya Upanishad does this in 12 shlokas. We have completed 3 shlokas. Today we're taking up the 4th shloka. So in the previous session, and the Omkara, the Mandukya Upanishad explains as the supreme reality. And the supreme reality has 4 quarters or aspects. Just the way Om has 4 aspects, which is Om has Akara, Ukara, Makara, and silence. Okay, it has 3 sounds, and the 4th is the silence. So these represent, Akara represents the waking, Ukara represents the dreaming, Makara represents the deep sleep, and the silence represents Turiya, the beyond, Parabrahman, or pure consciousness. Okay, and that is the importance of Om. Akara, Ukara, Makara, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and beyond, Turiya, 4th. So our journey is from about understanding all the 4, of course, all the 4 aspects, which is waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and then the Turiya, 4th. And to realize that all of these are just appearances in pure consciousness. And I am that pure consciousness. Otherwise, in the waking, I identify with something, myself as something. In the dreaming, I identify myself with something. And in the deep sleep, there is nothing to identify, but there is still no wisdom or clarity. And the 4th, I don't know. Okay? So whatever is I don't know doesn't help you in your life. What you know, you're able to access, use, implement. Understand? So if there's something that you don't know, some aspect of your life that you don't know about, then it is all, even though it is there, it is useless to you. So Omkara, the Mandukya Upanishad, through Omkara, is bringing to your awareness of the great wealth, the great bliss, peace, infinite nature that is already there. It is not giving it to you, it is helping you see that it's already there. It's like you are sitting on a treasure and you don't know about it. If you don't know about it, you can't use it. But the moment you know about it, your whole construct changes. The moment it's like before you get married, you're not a husband or a wife. Then there is a ceremony where somebody declares, okay, now you are a husband, now you are a wife. And them giving that instruction or having that ceremony transforms or alters your life in a certain way. It changes the direction. Till a previous moment, you were just a single person. In the next moment, you've grown from being a single person to having a spouse, then having the family of the spouse, and you become much bigger. Okay, so the Guru's instruction, the Upanishad instruction, is exactly the same. Just the way you believe the Purohit and start behaving and taking on all the responsibility from the very next day. From today I am wife, from today I am husband. Similarly, you listen to the Guru, and the Guru says you are Brahman, and that brings a change. You understand? So when you get married, what is changing? What is really happening there? Somebody is saying, okay, from today you are this. From today you and these two people are this. So this person is husband, this person is wife. That's all. Nothing else is happening. But that alters your life. Right? In the same way, the instruction of the Guru, instruction of the Upanishad, that Tattvamasi, you are that, alters the life. When you understand it, when you realize it, when you find that, yes, it's already there within me. So it's not like in the wedding day, people are giving you, of course, people are giving gifts and everything. But nobody is giving any sort of assets of change, internal change. All that happens the moment you take on the identity of spouse, being a husband or a wife. You take the responsibility, and the actions and the reactions and the responses start coming. Just because you took on some identity. Now, what will happen if you take on the identity, which is a true identity? I am Brahman. With false identities, you're doing so many things. What will happen if you go back to your true identity and hold that identity, that I am consciousness? Okay. So in the first aspect of the first quadrant, the first aspect of the self, which we spoke about, was waking. We are analyzing the waking state, dreaming state, deep sleep state, and what is beyond. Before we go to the beyond, the Rishi of the Upanishad is taking us through the journey of known terrain. The known terrain is waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Suddenly they can't shift to something that is unknown. There's no way for you to comprehend that. It's like looking at direct sunlight. Okay, it sort of harms the eyes. If at a certain point of the day you look at the sun directly, it destroys the eye. So you can't look at the truth directly, but you can look at the moon. The moon is very pleasant. It borrows the light from the sun. It is very pleasant. It gives light, but it's borrowed light. But you can see it for hours together. Okay, so you are taken from the known to the unknown, and the known is waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the unknown is Turiya. So we're making the journey, and the journey is of light. From moonlight, you're tracing it back to the source, which is the sunlight. So we understand like how the moon has no light of its own, it's just borrowing from the sun. The waking, dreaming, deep sleep are all dependent realities on the one that is holding all of them, which is consciousness, Turiya, the beyond, the fourth. Okay, clear so far? So what did we see in the previous session about the waking? What is the inference? You are experiencing waking from the time you have taken birth. It has not been, you say, oh, what is there special to learn? It's a common experience. What is there to learn about the waking? Is there a difference that the Mandukya Upanishad brought in the explanation of the waking? What did the Mandukya Upanishad say about the waking? It said, Jagrata Sthano, the previous shloka was repeat after me, Jagrata Sthano, Bahishpragnaha, Saptangaha, Ekona Vimshatimukaha, Stulabuk, Vaishwanaraha, Pratamatpadaha. Now, this teaching about the waking, what insight is it giving you about waking that you already don't know? What is your waking right now? Your waking right now is you're in sleep, then you transition into waking, you become aware of a body, and you become aware of a world. Okay? Bahishpragnaha. Your awareness is outside. Okay? And the Upanishad is saying it's just it's in your experience. It's you are aware outside. Then you have Saptanga, Ekona Vimshati Mukha. There are 7 parts and 19 instruments that the waker uses to experience the world. So there is an experience, which is the waking world, and there's an experiencer. The insight that the Upanishad gives is what you think is the experiencer in the waking state is not the experiencer, it's actually the experienced. So what you think is the experiencer in the waking state? I am the experiencer. And what is your I am experiencer? Body and mind. But the body, mind, intellect, roles, identity are all experienced. They're not the experiencer. So who is the experiencer? The Upanishad said it is Vaishwanaraha. And who is Vaishwanaraha? I told in the previous session, Nara means the human. Vaishwanara means the one who is operating through the human. The Vaishwanara refers to Atma, the self. The self who is experiencing through the waking body, the waking state, the waking experience is called Vaishwanara. Okay, the Sakshi is named as Vaishwanara when it is in association with the waking state. Okay, and what is the experienced? The experience is called Virat, the totality. Virat is the cosmos. And so that first understanding about the waking state is that to know that whatever I think as the experiencer is not the experiencer, it's also the experience, it's actually the experienced. Is that part clear? What you think as the experiencer is actually experienced. You think the body is the experiencer, the body is the experienced. You think the mind is the experiencer, you think when you say I, that I is a bundle of various elements. It has body in it, it has mind in it, it has some identities, some roles, which you collectively say as me, I. But none of that is I. All of that is part of the object, experienced. The I is the real I, pure consciousness or Atma, and that Atma is called as Vaishwanaraha. And there are no many Atmas. Vaishwanara is not many. So in the there is a shloka called Vedic chanting called Purusha Sukta. Okay, Purusha Sukta starts with it says Sahasra Shirusha Purusha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva. That means the pure consciousness, this stotram says, Sahasra Shirusha Purusha has thousands of heads. So Ravana has only 10 heads, but the supreme reality has thousands of heads. Sahasra Shirusha Purusha, Sahasrakshas, thousands of eyes, thousands of hands, thousands of legs. Now then people start imagining, okay, God is somebody who has thousands of heads. Like Ravana had 10 heads, God has thousands of heads. He has thousands of arms, thousands of heads. They're referring to all the bodies in existence. Your body is, your head is part of the thousands of head. Your hand is part of that Virat Purusha's hand. You understand? You are not excluded from that thousand. Okay? So there is only one experiencer experiencing through various bodies. That's why it said Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. God is experiencing through various devices. And your body mind is it's an advanced device. Okay? It's a machine. And the one operating through that machine, there's only one user, one operator. But the machines are several. So the inference of the understanding of the meaning of the shloka about the waking is first is whatever you think as the experiencer is actually the experienced. As long as it remains the experiencer, you remain in the bondage of the body and mind. First understand, your body and mind are experienced, they are not experiencer. They cannot experience by themselves. It's like a computer, it's like a machine. The machine is very capable, but the machine cannot do anything without the one operating the machine. The machine has no consciousness by itself. There is a conscious being that uses the machine. So distinguish between the machine and the user of the machine. And the user of the machine is Vaishwanara, Atma, and the user is not many users. Okay? There is only one user, and that one user is the self. The same user operates through various body, mind, intellects. And it says Bahish Pragnaha. Your awareness is outside. Pragna means awareness, Bahish means outside. So to say something, to say outside or inside, there should be a reference point. Right? To say, okay, north, south, east, west, up, down, you have to first establish where you are. Is that clear? So when the Upanishad says Bahish Pragnaha, what is the reference point it's taking as? Bahish Pragna from which point of view? Because from the Atma point of view, there's no Bahish Pragna. There's no outside, there's no inside, there's no up, there's no down. It's like saying from space point of view, what is north, south, east, west? Okay, so from space point of view, what is up and down? From the space point of view, what is your map's border? From the earth point of view, any of the borders have any meaning? The border has a meaning when you establish this is my ground, that is not my ground. So you're establishing your point of your source point as that particular geography that you're claiming. And then you're saying this is not me, this is me. But from the point of view of the earth, none of that apply. All of that is meaningless. From the point of view of space, up, down, left, right are all meaningless. Similarly, from the point of view of the self, outside, inside, me, other are meaningless. So when the Upanishad says Bahish Pragnaha, it is referring to your experience of claiming to be the body. From the point of view of the body, the waking is happening outside of you. You understand? So you're saying, this is me, and I'm interacting with the outer world. There's a world outside. And this is me. Even if I'm not there, there's a world outside. That's what you're saying. Because you're telling, I am this body. There's a world, real world outside. Then it takes us to the dream state where it is Anta Pragna. We have not gone to that. We'll go there now. But I'm just fast forwarding. It says you're antapragna, meaning you're not traveling anywhere outside, you're experiencing inside. Again, from the point of view of body. Okay? But the reality is not that. The reality is there is nothing outside, there is nothing inside. Whatever is seen outside is not outside of you, because you're the Atma. Atma has, there's no outside in Atma. So there's a beautiful story in the life of Mahavira, the Tirthankara in Jainism. When he was a young boy, he was a prince. He was born in a royal family. His name was Vardhaman. So he was a prince, and the palace was huge. They had many floors. He was somewhere in the palace, and his friends came over, and they asked somebody in the ground floor, "Where is Mahavira?" And sorry, where is Vardhamana? And that person said, "He's upstairs." So they all went to the topmost floor. There, they didn't find him there. So then they asked somebody there, where is Vardhamana? The person said, "He's down." Then again they come back down, he's not there. Then they go back and forth, and finally they come somewhere in the middle where he's at, and they elaborate the story. That's when Vardhamana understands, the young boy understands that everything in creation needs a point of reference, a reference point. What that person on top said was not false. Was it inaccurate? They said Vardhamana is down. It's correct. What the person at the bottom said also was correct, but it's not absolute correct. You understand? There is no absolute in the relative. It's only relatively true. It's relatively true that he's up. It's relatively true that he's down. Okay, depending on where you are, you make the statement. So when the Upanishad is saying Bahish Pragnaha, Anta Pragnaha, right now they have not yet started speaking about the one who is beyond all space. They're still referring to your experience of I am the body and saying, okay, if you're the body, in the waking state, you're experiencing something outside. In the dream state, you're experiencing something inside. But then let's look at that. Are you really doing that? And then they're questioning. Is this part clear? Okay. Now we'll go to the sleep state. But is the waking clear? The waking is that whatever you think as the experiencer is actually the experience. It's actually an object. What you think as a subject is not the subject, it's the object. And the waking world is not real, and there are no others that you perceive. It's only a perception. What I think I am is a perception. And my knowing of other beings is a perception, and my knowing and my thinking the world is real is a perception. So 3 perceptions. I am this, perception 1. There are many, perception 2. The world is real, perception 3. So all of you have these perceptions, and it's perception, it's not reality. What is the difference between perception and reality? Nobody. Perception is a momentary experience. Okay, so you see a rope, you think it is a snake. You perceive it as a snake. Means what? You experience something unreal, but you experience it. You take it to be real. Okay, is there a snake covering the rope? Is there a physical cover on the rope? No, there's no physical covering. The covering is perceptional, meaning it's only mental. You understand? It's not like, okay, if I remove the covering, I can see the rope. No, it is an error in experience. That error in experience is called covering or avarana. You understand? There is a covering of reality. Then, because of that covering, which is, when I say covering, don't think of it as a layer. Okay, on top of Brahman, there is a layer called world. No. Brahman itself, the rope itself, is perceived as snake. There's no other, there's no duality, there's no two. There's no rope and the snake. Rope itself appears as a snake. Similarly, Brahman itself appears as the world because of your perception. You understand? And when the perception goes, you experience Brahman. That's all. So that appearance of the snake on the rope is called as avarana, covering of the rope. It's not a physical covering. It's only perception. Avarana. And because of the avarana, because of the covering of the truth, there is a superimposition called vikshepa. Vikshepa means superimposition or projection. Like how a movie gets projected onto the screen, there's a projection of the world, and it's only a projection. You can't see. You can't see the reality. So avarana and vikshepa is maya, and the Upanishad is just helping us come out of this maya by examining the states. So just to go back to the previous session and recollect what we have gone through, and also clearly identify what the Rishi is trying to say. They are not actually trying to say what you already experience. They're trying to point out the error in your experience and the 3 levels of errors. One is, I am body mind, there are others, and the world is real. Is this part clear? Vivek, you have these 3 perceptions? So the waking is about, yeah. You said something?
No, I was just agreeing. You said you have 3 these perceptions. I was just telling you, yes, I have.
Yeah, so the idea is to come out of these perceptions. Did you understand that these are only perceptions and not reality? Did you understand how there are no others? How there's no world? The world is a superimposition. Just like how you superimpose a snake on the rope, you superimpose a world on consciousness. And the entire Upanishad, be it this Upanishad or any Upanishad or all the teachings of Vedanta, is only to correct this error. Okay, in different ways, in more beautiful and clear ways, they explain how the world is not real, how consciousness is reality, how you are not what you think you are, and how there is non-duality. There is no other. Okay, so yes, Shisharji, you raise your hand.
We used a term called projection.
Yeah.
So is it projection is what we see outside projecting on the inside screen? Is it projecting or?
So projection is an appearance. Okay, so the word projection brings a concept of this, an instrument of projection and a surface of projection and something projected. It's not like that. It's like the example I gave you of the snake and the rope. There is a rope, but when you see it, you think it is a snake. Okay, it is an error in, it's an experience. It's an error in perception. It is not real. The reality is the rope. So when you turn on the light, you see that it's a rope, and then the snake disappears. The projection disappears. The projection, that's the key of this shloka, this second shloka. You'll understand that when I explain the dream state now. So we'll go into the dream state. So everybody wake up. We'll go.
Instead of snake, if I say this is Sheshadri, now when I put the light, this is not Sheshadri, it is just myself.
No. Yes. but the light is not physical light.
Mm-hmm.
The light is the light of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem. That's the error you're making. Your perception in the waking world is based on the physical light.
Mm-hmm.
You're depending on the physical light to perceive the world. And that physical light is actually deluding you. It's not the physical light that makes the world appear. It is the light of awareness. For example, there is this object, there's an object. The world is nothing but, let's reduce the entire world to object. This object and other objects. Okay, it's an object. To see any object, there is a light that is required. But can I see the object just with the light? Let's say there is light, but my eyes are not working. Can I see the object? So which light is greater now? The outer light or the light of my eyes?
Both are required.
Both are required, but which is superior? The light of my eyes overrides the external light. Okay, simply because if you modulate the external light, if you dim it or decrease it, I can still see. But if you remove this eye, there is no seeing possible. Okay, so this is primary, that is secondary. You understand? Now the physical eyes are not the end. They themselves cannot see without the mental light. Even though I'm looking at the object, but my mind is somewhere else. I don't see the object. Right? So the mental light overrides the physical light. The mental light is overridden, is dependent. It's not, light is not coming from the mind. The mind itself is getting illuminated by the self, Atma. So the light of the self is the real light. Now, the issue is you don't know the light of the self, and you don't know that you're seeing everything because of the light of the self. You think you're seeing everything because of the physical light. So you need to transition from the physical light to the light of the self. Then, in the presence of the light of the self, what the statement that you made, Sumanji, is absolutely right. What is the statement you made?
This is
You
not
turn
Sheshadri.
off you turn off the light of awareness. Okay, meaning you're not aware of it. When I say you can never turn off the light of awareness. The light of awareness, every other light can be turned off except the light of awareness. It's an awareness, always there. But you can not know about it. That's called ignorance. You can be ignorant about it. When you're ignorant about it, you depend on the physical light, and in the physical light you see objects and you see separation. But in the awareness of the light of the self, which is meaning to say shedding the light of yourself on Sheshadriji, you will see your own self. It's not a physical light that you're shedding on him. With the understanding of awareness and with the light of awareness, whatever you see, you will see the seen also is my own self. Not body, mind, but self. You understand? So we'll understand that better in the glory of the dreams. Dream is extremely critical, I would say, crucial to understand the waking is a dream. Because let's say you only had waking state and deep sleep state. You never experienced a dream state. It would become extremely difficult for you to understand or realize that the waking is a dream. You need an experiential understanding, which you get in the dream state. That is the beauty of the dream state. Okay, and what exactly happens in the dream state, we'll thoroughly analyze in the shloka that we'll take up right now. Let us chant the shloka number 4. This is the shloka number 4 of Mandukya Upanishad. The Dvitiya Padaha, the second quarter or aspect of Brahman. Swapnasthano Antapragnaha Saptangaha Ekona Vimshati Mukhaha Pravivikta Buk Taijaso Dvitiya Padaha. So the Mandukya Upanishad, the Rishi talks about the dream state now. The dream state is Swapna Sthano. Swapna, it's called Swapna. The waking is called Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti, and Turiya. Okay, so for all the people who are not on video, if you can go on video. So Swapna, Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti, Turiya. Swapna Sthano, Antapragnaha. Again, remember I told Antapragna means from the point of view of the body. Inside, from the point of view of body, not from the point of view of self. Okay, Antapragnaha. Now it is stating this to explain to you whatever you're going to evaluate right now is all happening within your mind. Is that part clear? Whatever you're going to see right now in the dream, it's all happening where? In your mind. Nothing is real. So in your dream, you're going to Paris. There is no place there that you're going to. It is only a conceptual, imaginary place. But there's a difference in the imagination. Okay? There's a huge difference. So let's say right now you close your eyes and imagine an apple. Okay? You can see the apple. You can recollect the image of the apple. Maybe you can recollect the touch of the apple, maybe the smell of the apple. But no matter what you imagine, it's not real. You can't eat it. But that's not the case in the dream. When you enter the dream, this mental activity that you just did in the waking is taken to the next level where the apple becomes real and you can eat it. There is no physical apple. It is exactly like your apple that you just imagined, but the only difference is in the dream, you can eat the apple. You understand? Antapragna. That is, and all that is happening inside of you. Like how you just visualize the apple inside of you, it is still happening inside of you. You're not only imagining an apple, you're imagining an entire world with people and the entire world. You're imagining inside of you, you're experiencing it, and you're dropping it and coming out. And how you're experiencing it? Again, like how in the waking state you have a waking body with 19 organs, Pancha Gnanendriya, Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha Prana, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. Okay, that's the 19 organs. Remember we spoke about the 19 organs that the experiencer uses. Pancha Gnanendriyas, 5 sense organs, eyes, nose, all the 5 sense organs. 5 organs of actions, hands, legs, and genitals, and Pancha Pranas, the energy system of the body. Prana, Apana, Udana, Vyana, Samana. 5 pranas, the energy system, the fuel that runs the body, and Manas, mind, Buddhi, intellect, Chitta, memory, Ahankara, ego. So these are the 19 organs that you use in the waking. Those 19 organs are there even for the dream experiencer. Even the experience in the dream uses the 19 organs and 7 parts. So, and the experiencer in the dream is called Taijasa. Taijasa means, I told you, light. It is called as light because there is no physical light in the dream world. There is only a mental light. Whatever light when you in your dream, you go to, there's a bright sunny day, but there's no sun there. Okay, but there is a sun and there is a light. All of that light is actually your light, the dreamer's light. And the dreamer is called Taijasa. Okay, this is just the translation of the shloka. Let us contemplate on the shloka. And it says Dvitiya Pada. This is the second aspect. So in the waking, I wake up, I have a body, I have some instruments of experience, I interact with the world. When I interact with the world, I store impressions of the world. You understand? So I interact with the world. I speak to somebody. They speak to me in a certain way. That interaction leaves an imprint in my consciousness, leaves a print, a stamp. So I read some news. Okay, all these people are, so many people are dying. There's disease and so many problems. I read all this in the waking state. Now, where does all that information go? They all become impressions in me. They create fear, doubt, anxiety, question, so many things. And all the experiences are there as impressions in my consciousness, in the mind. Okay? And those impressions are called as vasanas. Now, those vasanas, those impressions, when you leave the waking world, when you go into sleep, those impressions again continue. You start again seeing a word, again going through the same impressions. You understand? You dream, and let's say you dream that you're going to Paris. Where did the Paris come from? It came from the waking world, the impressions of the waking world. The input of the waking world becomes the output of the dream. You understand? So it's nothing but, to simply say, recycling of all those vasanas, again projecting. So there are vasanas, and the vasanas are projecting the dream. Okay? In reality, the same thing is happening with the waking. Your impressions are projecting the world. If there is no impression of the world, you don't project the world. You don't experience the world. And that impression is called samsara. Have you heard this word called samsara? Samsara sagara. The ocean of samsara. What is samsara? You think the waking world is samsara? No. The waking world is not samsara. The impression of the waking world in you is called samsara. Because the waking world is not bothering you. The impression of the world is bothering you. You understand? The disease out there is not bothering you. Your impression and fear of the disease is bothering you. You understand? Somebody shouts at you. That is not the problem. Your reaction to that is the problem. Your impression of that is the problem. That is what causes you suffering, not them scolding you. If you didn't have the impression, you would not experience the suffering. You understand what I mean? There's some problem. Let's say you have no reaction to the problem. You have only right action to the problem. So can you really call it as a problem? So the samsara is not the waking world. The waking world is actually, the Upanishad calls it as Virat. It is cosmic consciousness. The samsara is your impression of the world. So you have to become free from samsara. So people understood the teaching very well. The scripture said, become free from samsara. Okay, now I have to run away from the world. Can you ever run away from the world? No, they can't run away from the world. So they'll run away from the world that they have created, which is their family and everything. That is not becoming free from samsara. Becoming free from samsara is becoming free from the impression of the world. The world has entered you. It's trickled down into your consciousness and mind. And it lies inside of you as vasanas. Okay? That is causing you problem. That you have to become free from. Now that continues to be active in the sleep state, in swapna. So what are you seeing in the sleep state? Your impressions. Okay? The only difference is you are experiencing the impression as reality. You're continuing the same experiences from the waking into the dream. And once the you finish the dream is over, you again transition back into the waking. So this way, both the states are nothing but experience of impressions. So first insight from the waking. That's why the Upanishad beautifully says anta pragnaha. Means what? You're experiencing what is inside you, your impressions. Is that part clear? Any doubt that whatever you experience in the dream is not inside you? The world that you see, the people that you talk to, the body that you have, the problems that you face, everything is happening in you, because of your impression that is inside you. Exactly like that, whatever you're experiencing in the waking is happening because of the vasanas. Any doubt in this? The inference from the waking is not to understand, inference from the dream is not to understand the dream. So the modern psychiatrists and psychologists are make a whole business of analyzing the dreams. Okay, this has been there from time immemorial. Okay, there was a king long time ago. He had a dream in the night where he saw all his. He didn't have grandchildren in the waking. In the dream, he saw his grandchildren, and all his grandchildren, they die, they suffer and die. And he wakes up in shock, and he's so afraid. Oh my God, I've seen something of the future. And he calls all of his ministers and wise people, and everybody starts giving interpretations of the dream. So one of the wise person, he stands out and he says, Maharaj, I have understood clearly what is your dream. I know exactly what it is. He says, it means that you have actually had a premonition. You have seen the future. Your dream is trying to tell you that you will see the death of all your lineage. Your entire lineage will get wiped out in front of you. The king becomes extremely angry and immediately is sentenced to death. Take him to the prison and kill him. And then there's another wise man, who was a real wise man. He tells, I have an interpretation. I have understood your dream. It means that your dream means that you will actually outlive everybody. You will live a very long and happy life. Okay? The same dream he interprets in a positive way. So people have made a business on psychoanalysis of dream, enough psychoanalysis of the waking state. Now you want to psychoanalyze the dream also. What does the dream mean? I saw this thing in my dream. This person came to me, the dead person came to me in my dream. What does it really mean? The teaching and the understanding is to understand the waking is also a dream. Instead of understanding the waking is a dream, you're making the dream into waking. You understand? The dream exists, the dream swapna exists so that you realize the waking is, the jagrata is also swapna. Instead of doing that, you're making the swapna also into jagrata. You understand? You're giving reality to a dream instead of taking out reality from the reality. Okay? So the dream, so anybody of you have done this? Analyzing your dreams, what does my dream mean? Oh my God, I had my dream, I saw this person, he came and told me like this, what will happen? So there's no denying the mind is powerful. The mind is powerful. The dream is vasana. You can see the past in the dream. You can see the present in the dream. You can also see the future in the dream. That is fine. But the problem is when it becomes real. Okay? Whatever is seen is a dream. खुले नैन से सपने देखे, बंद नैन से अपने. सपने तो रहते हैं बाहर, भीतर रहते अपने. Okay? खुले नैन से सपने. Whatever you see from the eyes is a dream. Only the seer is the reality. So understand. So the inference from the dream is, you're seeing a dream world when there is no world. You're experiencing the dream world when there is no such thing. And when you're dreaming, it appears to be very real. Okay? That is exactly the same thing that's happening in the waking. And because of that, you understand that the waking is also a dream. It is not reality. That's why the Upanishad clearly mentioned Saptanga Ekona Vimshati Mukha in the waking, Saptanga Ekona Vimshati Mukha in the dreaming. There is absolutely no difference. You have a physical body in the dream, sorry, in the waking. In the dream, you have a physical body. When you're dreaming, you think it is a physical body only. When you're in a dream, you have a dream body, but you take it to be a physical body. Although it's a subtle body, but you take it to be a physical body. There is a dream world. It is not a real world, it's a subtle world, but you take it to be a real world. And when you're experiencing it, if somebody in the dream comes and tells you, hey, this is a dream, you will argue and you will tell, no, it is reality. You understand? And the same thing happens in the waking. The guru comes and tells you, no, it's a dream. You deny, no, it's a reality. I see the stone. Now use that apply that logic in the dream. Now let's say this is a dream and we are having a conversation. I'm a dream guru. You're a dream shishya. And I'm coming and telling you, this is a dream. You will say, no, this is not a dream because I'm experiencing it. That person is also experiencing it. Okay? You understand? But this is a dream. Your statement, what you just made, I am experiencing, that person is also experiencing it, is exactly has the same value as a statement you make in the waking. And it has the same implication as it has in the dream. Do you understand? In the dream, when you wake up, you understand that everything was a dream. Similarly, when you wake up from the waking, you realize that even the waking is a dream. To wake up from the waking, you're using the dream state to analyze the waking state. Clear? This is a very significant inference. You can't take it so lightly because in your dream, you are experiencing everything as reality. And you experience it. You don't say, oh, this is a dream coffee, I won't drink it. What is this? Just a dream. This is a dream jalebi, I won't eat it. This is a dream wife, I won't kiss my wife. This is a dream son, I won't do anything. You interact with the dream world as if it's the waking world. That means to say, what you think as reality is definitely not reality. You understand? Just because you're perceiving something to be real doesn't mean it's real. Can we make that inference? Because you're experiencing something as real in the dream, but it's not real. So using that same experience, can I tell what you're experiencing right now is unreal? Can you prove it's real? Can you prove to me that you are in the waking state right now and you're not in the dream? Kundanji, are you in the waking state or dream state right now?
So there is a concept, again, I'll say it in the concept of reference frame. So when you are in a state, you feel that state is real. So real is also not real.
Okay, fine. So the
real is not beyond this.
So what you're saying is, whatever you experience at any point of time is not absolutely real. It's only real for that moment, right?
And for that state.
And for that state. So when you're in the dream, what you experience in the dream, at that moment it is real. When you go to the waking, the dream world becomes unreal. Similarly, when you go to the dream, the waking world becomes unreal. Okay? So let's say you're in the dream now, you go to Paris, you will say the person sitting in Bangalore is unreal. If I ask you, hey, where is the person sitting in Dublin? You'll say, no, there's no such person. This is reality. The person in Paris is the reality. You understand? So having said that, I'm asking you, the state you're in right now, is it waking or is it dream?
It's a dream because there is only dream and deep sleep.
But with the current state I am in, this is waking.
No, sleep. I really want to wake up now
That's true.
from this dream.
That's
I'm searching.
That means you're not.
So how do you wake up from the dream?
Sorry?
How do you wake up from the dream? In the dream,
Mm.
what makes you wake up?
Thinking this is not real.
What makes does comfort make you wake up in the dream?
No.
If some tiger chases you, or you fall from the building, or you get some shock, or somebody hits you, you wake up, right? From the dream.
Or you have to pee.
Or you have to pee the waking body. So that even have to pee, it's a distress. So some distress makes you wake up, right, from the dream. That is the whole point of distress in the waking world. So all the people who have a question why there's suffering in the world is to make you wake up. So Corona is the best time to wake up. Lockdown is the best time to wake up from the Maya. Okay, and that's why it said Kali Yuga is the best time for enlightenment. In all the other yugas, enlightenment is very far away. So that's why you see rishis doing tapasya for thousands of years, because there's no trouble. They're at leisure. But in Kali Yuga, you have to survive. There is war, there is disease, there is mortgage payment, loan repayment, social media. Everything is trying to wake you up. And still you're not waking up. So that means suffering is not enough for you. So better, it's a warning, okay? Better understand Atmagnana and become free. Otherwise, universe will give you more pain, more suffering. As if what you are going through is not enough. So the waking world, you wake up from the dream when there is, of course, some sort of collision, something that makes you wake up. You wake up from the waking dream. That something that makes you wake up from the waking dream is called gnana. Okay, the insight, the understanding of reality. You understand? The more it becomes clear, you cannot dream anymore. It's not that you will wake up, it's that the dreaming will stop. Dreaming stopping is equal to waking up. You understand? Creating more projection and living in perception stopping is equal to waking up. Waking up means you will not become something else. What is reality is already there. You will stop projecting the dream. That doesn't mean the waking world will disappear. Your thinking that it's real disappears. Your notion of duality disappears. And you will experience Sarvam Karuvidam Brahma. Everything is consciousness. Okay? How everything is consciousness in the waking? Just the way everything in the dream is you. You went to Paris in the dream. The Eiffel Tower is you. So what did you see in the dream? You saw a world in the dream and you experienced it as something other than you. But was it really other than you? Let's say you met your spouse in the dream. Is the spouse other than you? You understand? Everybody understood the question? Mamta ji? You're on mute. Did you get the question? So you had a dream last night. You saw a dream world, a dream apartment, Erita. You were in the apartment in the dream. Then you met some person, your friend. Is the real estate and the person different from you? But you experience as if it's different from you.
Sorry, my laptop had frozen, so I couldn't unmute myself.
No problem. Did you get you're following the question, the thread?
Yeah.
So let's say you met somebody in the dream. Is that person different from you?
No.
Is it safe to say that person is you?
Yep.
Because the person is nothing but impression of that person. And the impression is coming from your mind. The mind, to activate the impression, the mind has to become the impression. So you become the subject and the object in the dream. There is no subject and object apart from you. Is that part clear? There is no independent object. For, let's say, example, in the dream, your friend comes, Vivek comes, he's in your apartment. You meet Vivek in the dream, and Vivek comes and hands you a bag of gold. Okay, 24 karat gold bars. Each bar is 100 kgs. Okay. Now, does that object exist somewhere right now? Independently? What is the object dependent on? The object is dependent on you, right? If you don't dream it, the gold is not there. You have to dream for the gold to be there. Correct? You understand? So the object is the object and the subject both are dependent on the real subject, the self. So in the dream, with the example of the dream, I'll explain it. The dreamer you, so in the dream you and the dream world, the dream gold, dream Vivek are all dependent on the waking Mamtaji. Is that part clear? They don't independently exist somewhere. In the same way, why Vivek, you're laughing?
I want my gold back.
See, Vivek is asking the dream gold. So Vivek, you have to go back into the dream state and ask.
Have
You
to
can't
go-
ask. You can't ask about the dream gold in the waking state. Unless Mamtaji can project that in the waking state. Is it clear? So the waking world, when I say waking world, there is subject and object. The waking subject and the waking object don't have independent existence. They are dependent on the dream world and the dream subject are dependent on the waking subject. Clear? Similarly, the waking world and the waking subject are dependent on the absolute subject, the real subject, which is the Atma. The self, vasanas, from the vasanas appear subject and object. And one subject and object you call as waking, another subject and object you call as dreaming. It is only you are calling it. You might as well call both as dreams, or one as the other as the waking and the other as the dream. Why can't you call the waking as the dream and the dream as the waking? Both are the same. Both are projection of the vasanas. Both are projecting subject and object. Both are projecting a world. But one your name is waking, one your naming is dreaming. It won't make any difference if you change the naming. If you call the dream as waking, it won't make a difference. If you call the waking as dream, it won't make a difference. Will it make a difference? Vivek, it will make a difference. It won't make any difference. You
And
understand?
physics, they say that for matter, antimatter is antimatter. For antimatter, matter is antimatter.
So they're actually copied from Bhagavad Gita shloka. The shloka in the Bhagavad Gita is Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Samyami Yashan Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyatomini. Meaning, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. Whatever is night for the unenlightened, ignorant people is waking for the enlightened one. And whatever is waking for the enlightened one is dream for the ignorant one. Meaning, for the Gnani, the waking also is unreal, it's a dream. For the Agnani, the waking is real. And what is real for the Gnani? For the Gnani, Atma is real, Jagat is unreal. For the Agnani, Atma is unreal, Jagat is real. So physics is, I didn't know this, physics was in the business of copying also. Plagiarism. Yes.
Okay, I understood. Fine. This Veki is also dreamy. I am there. There is a Vasana that I am Suman, I am wife.
Can you read this up? Yeah.
So this is Sheshadri, my husband. All these vasanas are projecting. So then I remove the vasana. This he is also a be itself. Then what next? How to see? How to interact? I don't know. Something is
that will come to in the Turiya. I'll talk about that in Turiya. What will happen after you realize this will come. There's a separate section, and there's a Palashruti also. The last 3 shlokas of the Upanishad are Palashruti. What happens after you realize this? I'll come to that then. But right now, you're not trying to say, I'm not trying to say, the inference is not that Sheshadri ji is you. Because first of all, you don't have understanding of what is you right now. You is body for you right now. So one body is not another body, clearly. There's a duality. But if you're saying you, I means self, then yes. I means, okay, I am the self. Whatever I see also self. Then there's no doubt there. There's no discussion there. Okay. Here we're trying to understand that the dream world is projecting a world. I'm projecting a world from the power of my own mind. Okay. And if my mind is so powerful to project a world and give me an experience, make me forget it's a projected world and give me an experience that it's reality, I'm only asking, why can't it be the case even in the waking? Kundanji?
I have a question. What is the role of Chetana in all this?
Chetana is Atma, self, the one who is illumining all this to happen. He's enabling. The Chetana's role is electricity. The role of electricity. Electricity. So I'll give you an example. What is Chetana role? Let's say you have a device, a computer. Okay. The computer, you've loaded the computer with games, movies. You've opened many tabs in Google Chrome. It's running. It has many programs running. Correct? You understand? The computer it has so many activities going on. That, let us call it as waking state. The computer is like the body and mind. The programs are all the vasanas, and you're seeing the world and everything. Now, all of that is part of the device. There has to be a conscious being to make sense of what is happening in the computer, right? That is Chetana. Okay, that's the self. The self.
What is the relationship between Gyan and Chetana?
I'll come to that. So the self is the user of the programs in the computer. Now you put the computer has states. Now you're using the computer. When you're using the computer, it's the waking state. Then you take a break. You put it on sleep mode. In the sleep mode, the programs are still running. Let's say you're copying some files. They're still running. You understand? The screen has become black, but the programs are still running, right? The programs are still running. That is called sleep. That's exactly like your dream state. The programs continue. The projections continue. Then you shut down the computer. Understand? Then are the programs running? All programs stop. That is deep sleep. But you have not shut yourself down. You only shut down the computer. That you, who is there throughout in the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, that can never be shut down. The being that is aware is Chetana. And Gnana is simply means knowledge, but in the context of Vedanta, Gnana is Atma Gnana. Atma Gnana means there is no more avarana, there's no more covering of who I am. See, in the waking, what happens is there is a avarana and vikshepa. There's a covering of who I am, and there's a projection. Correct? There is avarana and vikshepa in waking. In the dreaming, is there avarana and vikshepa? Yes. In the dreaming also, you don't know yourself, and there's a projection. So avarana and vikshepa in the waking, avarana and vikshepa in the dreaming. In the deep sleep, is there avarana and vikshepa? There is avarana, but there's no vikshepa. In the deep sleep, you do not have the knowledge of who you are, but simply projection has been stopped. The movie is stopped, but you don't know I'm the screen. You understand? Now, that is where Gnana comes in. Samadhi or Atma Gnana or Jivan Mukti is no avarana. There's no covering of who I am. I'm no longer deluded that I am the body, mind, intellect, or identities. I know I am consciousness. There is Gnana, Atma Gnana. I know I am the self. There's no more avarana. Avarana disappearing is called mukti. So vikshepa will remain as long as the body of that, the prarabdha of the body is there. When the mukta, from our point of view, when the jivan mukta body dies, the vikshepa also stops. But until the body, the perceiving instrument is there, some perception is there, but there's no error in perception. There's no error like how you have. The perception is known as a dream. The jivan mukta knows that this is just a dream. This is not reality. You understood, Kundanji? So Chetana is consciousness, Atma. That Chetana identifies with the waking programs and becomes the waking person. Identifies with the dream programs and becomes the dream persons. Then there are no programs, but still doesn't know about himself or herself. That is deep sleep. And that's why deep sleep is not mukti. Even though there's no world, no body, no mind, no other, it's non-dual. It is not enlightenment. You still again wake up as the same person, same fool. Okay, otherwise you go into deep sleep and you wake up enlightened. It doesn't happen because avarana is not gone.
So can we say that Jnana is nothing but understanding of Chetana?
Yes, Gnan is. So in Gnan, it's not understanding. When you use the word understanding, it brings in the mind. The one who understands is the mind. In Atma Gnan, knowing is being. Brahmavid, Brahmaiva Bhavati. To know Brahman is to be Brahman. You cannot see, when you say understand, I know.
So there is no interface. What you say.
You'll make a split.
In Jnana, there is no interface. It is the self.
Yeah, when you say I know, you're making the knower and the known. In self, in Atmagnan, it's not like that. There is no, you cannot know the self as an object. To know Brahman is to be Brahman. Brahmavid, Brahmaiva Bhavati. Okay, coming back to the dream state. You finished the waking, you interacted with the waking, you went into the dream, you went to Paris, and Paris is not a safe place. You got kidnapped in Paris. And the kidnappers started torturing you. Okay? And you started crying and screaming, right? So who is suffering? I'll drink my tea, you can think about it. Who is suffering? You all understood the question? Anybody didn't get the question? You went to Paris. Ah, so nice. First international trip. You saw the Eiffel Tower, saw all beautiful people. Then you got kidnapped. Then they started torturing you. Then you started screaming, crying. Who is suffering?
No.
Huh?
There's no real-
Anybody has answer? Pallaviji?
Nobody, I think. Because there's no real person to suffer.
Kaun bol raha hai?
Dream
Uh,
me is suffering.
Huh? Who is speaking?
Dream me is suffering. Dream me.
Dream you is, that is dream you, no?
Mm.
It's a dream character. How can dream character suffer?
So I'm assuming that the dream me is suffering.
You're assuming that assuming is fine, but who is suffering? Assumption is fine. You can assume so many things. I'm assuming this, I'm assuming that. But who is suffering, actually suffering?
Nobody.
Sureka, who is suffering? 32 years I've only suffered in life. Who is suffering? In the dream, forget about, I'm not talking about the waking, I'm talking about the dream. In dream, you went to, in the waking also you went to Paris, I know. In the dream, you went to Paris. And thankfully in the waking, you didn't get kidnapped. In the dream, you unfortunately got kidnapped and you started crying and screaming. Who is suffering?
The projection, the one who's being projected.
The one who is being projected is suffering. But that's a projection. It's like saying I'm watching a movie and that screen is suffering. The light, it's just a game of light and shadow.
Because the waking self is not real.
So let's eliminate. Is the waking self suffering? Is the you are sleeping peacefully in Bangalore? Are you suffering? Waking
No.
you is suffering?
No.
No, clearly not. The waking you is happily sleeping in Bangalore. Okay. Then there is the dream you who has gone to dream Paris, got dream kidnapped. It cannot suffer because it's a dream character. It doesn't exist only. A non-existent character cannot suffer. But there is suffering. Who is suffering? Is there suffering?
Yeah.
Who is suffering?
There's no
There is
real,
suffering.
there's no real person there to suffer, but that emotion is very real.
The experience.
In the dreams.
Who is having that emotion? The emotion is suffering. You're just defining suffering. What is suffering? The emotional disturbance is suffering. I understand. Who is having that emotional disturbance? Does the waking you have?
No.
Does the deep sleep you have?
No.
Does the dream you have?
Yeah.
No. How a dream you will have? The dream is not real.
I mean, in the
It's
dream,
real at
it
the
feels as if the dream you is suffering in that situation.
Is the dream you real?
No.
So how can the dream you suffer?
Yeah, but in dreaming state, the dreamer doesn't really know that that's not real. Thinks it's real.
No, I'm asking from the waking point of view, who is suffering?
So no one, there isn't anyone to suffer per se.
Exactly in the waking state. You have suffering in the waking state? Who is suffering? So all the people are suffering because of the disease and all this. Who is suffering? Are you suffering? Vivek, are you suffering? You have a lot of suffering.
I don't know about right now, but after half an hour, the kidnappers will suffer.
Kidnappers are not, they don't exist. Yeah. How will they suffer? Mamtaji, who is suffering? Some people are suffering because of this question. Just the way there is actually no suffering. There is a error in, even if I say there's an error in perception, actually there is no suffering. It's a dream. The only thing that you can say is it's unreal, it's a dream, right? In the same way, the waking is unreal. Your suffering is unreal. Suffering can only happen if there is something real. So it's called suffering. You understand? It means something only when there is reality. So let's say some of you have played video games, right? In the video game, you're playing a war game or something, and you're shooting people. Do you have a notion that there is something there suffering? No, because it's unreal. The unreality, when in unreality, there can be no suffering. All suffering in unreality is only what? What do you call something pretending to be in a certain way in an unreal circumstance?
Illusion.
Acting. Illusion, acting. You understand? So if there's no reality, so for example, somebody is shooting a movie and the villain is chasing the lady. There is no suffering because it's unreality. You understand? But if it happens outside of if the actor starts chasing the lady outside, when the cameras are off, then it becomes suffering. Why? Because that now becomes reality. So if you remove the reality, or not remove, if you see through that what you call as reality is actually not reality, then you understand. Then rather not understand, you become free from suffering. That is called mukti. In mukti, you understand whatever is happening is unreal. It is not intellectual. Okay, it's not repeating, oh, this is unreal, this is unreal, this is Maya, this is Maya. In the midst of the situation, most turbulent situation, if you can see with the eyes of awareness and make a statement internally that this is unreal, you become free from it. And you will see it as a dream. That is enlightenment. So Krishna, that is the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is standing on the battlefield and telling it's unreal. He's not sitting in the forest, in the palace and telling it's unreal. He's in the battlefield, facing the worst possible and claiming and saying and explaining how it's unreal. You're at least sitting in the AC room in the Bangalore and Dublin. You should be able to understand better. You understand? So far is it clear? So what are the inferences from this dream we made? First thing is, dream is that it has no reality on its own. It's a dependent reality. It's dependent on me, the projector. It is nothing outside. It's all conceptual. It's the world, the subject and the object, both are conceptualized, projected. But the projection appears to be real when I'm experiencing it. Okay? The projection cannot exist without me, the dreamer. The dream is dependent on the dreamer. The waking is dependent on the self. Okay? There is no difference between the waking experience and dream experience. Absolutely no difference. Both are projections of the mind. Like how dream is a projection of the mind. In the dream, the mind projects subject and object. In the waking also, the mind projects a subject and object. Just after I finish this summarizing, we'll get into the detail of how mind projects. Okay? And in the dream, whatever I experience is nothing but me, my own consciousness. Similarly, in the waking, whatever I experience is my own consciousness, but that my is not body and mind, my is self. Okay, so this is the way a snake is superimposed on a rope, a world is superimposed on Brahman, pure consciousness, and I am that pure consciousness. I am not the character in the waking. I am not character in the dream. I am not I'm actually the witness of the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Any doubts in this much? Kundanji? Any doubts so far? Dream part is clear? So you understand why dream is so important, to understand the waking is a dream. If you did not dream, you would never be able to visualize or imagine how my mind can create an object and make me think that it's real. How my mind can create an experience, make me forget reality. That's what's happening in dream. It's creating an experience of Paris and it's making you forget the reality of Bangalore. And you will convincingly say, no, I'm in Paris only. That's the level of clarity it gives you. That's the level of illusion rather.
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality. So your mind, so you understand by the dream that the power of the mind to create experiences and make you believe that the experience is real and make you forget the reality. This much you understood? The mind is powerful enough to make you forget that you are that you're abundant in the waking and make you feel that you're a beggar in dream. Make you forget the health in waking and make you feel that you are actually have some handicap in the dream, as if it's real. This is the inference of this is the insight of the sleep, that my mind, using my impressions, is projecting a world, a subject, object, multiplicity, when actually there is nothing. So to say it simply, I am seeing something where there is nothing. I am experiencing something where there is nothing. I am suffering where there is nothing. You understand? And that's exactly what is happening in the waking state. You're seeing something, there is nothing. You're experiencing something, there's actually nothing. Clear? Now we'll get into how the mind does this. Any doubt? So far, any doubt? Okay. So, somebody asked a question. Mithali ji, clear? Suman ji.
I'm okay with projection, wakey, dreamy, okay. But when it comes to suffering,
that is not okay.
no, my suffering also, I'll say it is all my mind game and its impression, my emotions. When I hear all these corona cases and things, I really feel sad for so many families, so many things happening. There's a very, very, something I am not happy at all because of that outside society things. And how do I say that's not happening? I don't know, somewhere, no, that's
yeah.
still.
Okay. So I'll answer the question in three layers. Okay. So there's an absolute and relative. Okay. I told you there's absolute point of view, perspective, which is the perspective of the self. Think of it like the perspective of space. That is the absolute perspective. Then there is relative, and in relative, there's a second layer of dreaming. So relative is dream, and within dream there is multiple layers of dreams. Okay, so like a dream within a dream. You understand? Like for example, what you're experiencing right now is a dream. Or forget what you're experiencing right now. Let's say you had a dream. In the dream, you went to Paris. Okay, in Paris, you got kidnapped. So your experience, your internal subjective experience, is a second layer of dreaming. First layer of dreaming is the dream world. Second layer of dreaming is your impression of the dream world. You understood the three parts: absolute perspective, relative perspective, and the sub-relative, or the dream within the dream. Three. The question that you asked, from the absolute perspective, if I have to say, what is the answer? From the Gnani's perspective?
There's no suffering.
From the absolute perspective, yes.
Everything is a dream.
Nothing. What you're seeing, even this situation, this horrible situation, is not real. From the absolute perspective, from the Gnani's perspective, from the enlightened perspective. See, that's the same thing that happened. Even in Krishna's time, the war was happening. If you had asked the question to Krishna, Krishna, all these people are dying in front of you, still you say it is unreal? What Krishna would say?
Yes, it is unreal.
It is unreal. It is
the consciousness projection.
Because can you experience that suffering without you being there? Let's say I remove you. Does that suffering exist?
No.
No, then you'll say, no, I will not be able to see it. Somebody else will be able to see it. Right? So you'll say, okay, you remove me, that's fine. But my husband will still see it. No, he'll see the people suffering. So it's like saying, in the dream, see, what did I say? The waking vasanas only get activated and become dream vasanas. So whatever you see right now in the waking, the corona situation, people suffering and all that, the gas, especially in India, a lot of trouble with hospitals and everything, people dying. You saw all that in the waking state, in the news and everything, and all those impressions entered you. In your dream also, you woke up in the dream. In the dream, you are in Bangalore, and again you see the same thing. Okay, you see the people are suffering. Now, in the dream, if I say, I will remove you, and the suffering will disappear, what will the dream you say? The dream you will say the same thing that you said in the waking. No, 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 my husband will see it. But actually, the dream ends when you wake up. When you are removed, meaning when you wake up, your husband doesn't exist somewhere individually to experience some world. The world, the husband, everything disappears altogether. So whatever you're seeing, the scene is dependent on the seer, and the seer is the self. If you remove that, there's nothing there. So from that perspective, from the absolute perspective, yes, whatever be it be, you're seeing is an illusion. And that is not just a statement, okay? That's not just an intellectual statement. That is the being of the enlightened one. The enlightened one just doesn't say it in words. That is their experiential reality. That is why they're absolutely unafraid of any infliction of suffering on their body. So if you ask this question to the enlightened one and you say, oh, you're telling everything is suffering, so I'll shoot your leg. That is also a dream. You say, shoot my leg. They are able to even witness that as if it's not happening to them. So at the time of Alexander, when Alexander was going to conquer the world, his family, and there was actually a very well-known tradition of enlightened beings and enlightenment of India across in the place of Alexander in Greece. So they were very interested to meet such an enlightened being. So they told Alexander, when you go to India, bring an enlightened being, a guru or a sadguru or a saint. When Alexander came here in the northern part, there was a well-known Gnani. He was by the bank of a river, and he sent his soldiers to pick him up and invite him to come to Greece. And the Gnani said, "I'll not come. Okay, I don't care who you are. I'm just here, peaceful." Then they threatened him that I'll kill you if you don't come. I will behead you right here. He said, "Behead me. It's a dream." That is the clarity. That is Atmagnana. It's not just a statement, oh, it's a dream, it's just sab moh maya hai, sab maya hai. No. It is conviction. It is gnana. Okay? There's no coming back from that point. No matter what happens. Even if the Gnani wins 1,000 crores, he'll tell it's a dream. Even if there's a war happening in front of him, he'll tell it's a dream. Okay? So from the absolute perspective, you got the answer? Any doubt in that? From the absolute perspective, yes, it is a dream. Now you come a little lower in the relative. So you don't have the Gnana. When you don't have the Atmagnana, you see the suffering. The suffering is acknowledged as a play, a divine play. It's called Leela. The suffering, from your point of view, from the individual point of view, is suffering. But from the universal point of view, it's cleaning. Okay, let's say you have cancer. When you have cancer, the doctor will start killing some part of your body. It's actually killing. He's actually killing significant part of your body. Right? That is killing. But it is actually good for you. It is saving your life. So whatever you know, whatever is happening in the world, it's a play of consciousness. That's how nature is. Nature is birth, decay, death. Everything is nature is like that. There's the flower blooms, there's a tree grows, it gives fruits, it dies, another one grows. That's the process. The process of nature is this: peace, war, disease, death. It's not right now. It has been the time, even at the time of Rama, at the time of Buddha, at the time of Krishna, every time it's been like that only. You take up any history, it's always been like that. This is not new. And this will not end. This will continue. This is how it will be in the future also. That is it's called the divine play. Now from that is the relative perspective. Now there's an individual perspective. Within the cosmic dream, there's an individual dream. And you are suffering. Now in your suffering, you're experiencing suffering so that you can become free from that. When you become free from that, it's not that you will become a stone towards the suffering. You will when the suffering is happening, what is happening to you? You just said you become sad, you become, you feel helpless. That is unconsciousness. That is a reaction. Okay? It will continue to happen until you learn to become conscious, until you become aware. Then you start taking conscious actions. So there are people, even in this situation, we have seen it with my own eyes. In the same situation, there are people who are rising up to the situation and taking responsibility and growing beyond their own normal self. Okay? Then there are people who are exploiting the situation, right? They're cheating people, making money. Then there are people who are neutral, who are just armchair activists, who just watch. So these are all the options. Any situation presents you with various options. How you want to respond. Typically, the response is unconscious, programmed. So can you give a more conscious response to any situation? So these are the three answers to the question. But is this also a dream? Absolutely yes. When you go to sleep, tonight when you go to sleep, or last night when you went to sleep, when you went to deep sleep, where did this world go? Where did all the suffering of all the patients that you know in the waking state go? Was it there?
No.
In your experience, was it there?
No.
So what does that mean?
There's no
illusion.
It's something internal. It's not external. It means it's not external. It is internal, and that internal is called samsara. And mukti means becoming free from that internal. Is it clear? So is everybody okay to extend for some more time? Maybe another 15 to 20 minutes.
I
If anybody
have
has
to flip out, but I'll catch up with the recording.
You'll miss enlightenment.
I know, right?
Okay, sure.
See you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So those who have to drop can drop.
Murli, I had a question. Yeah, so as you said, like peace and war are all part of nature. And so similarly, even in this situation, I mean, whatever we see right now, but my question is, why are innocents, made to, like in a war, you see that most of the times it's the innocents that die and not the one who perpetuated the crime.
No, in the perpetrator also will die. No, in the Mahabharata, all the perpetrators died.
But yeah, in the current scenario, like as you said, that there are people who are exploiting the situation. Like as we see in our own state, there's shortage of oxygen cylinders and hospital beds. But the people who are exploiting the situation, they are unaffected by all this. But the ones who are dying are the innocents.
What is your problem with that? Your problem is you're not making money.
No,
your problem is not that they are making money.
So my question is that also a play of consciousness?
Of course it is. If you don't see that the unfairness is built into nature, it exists so that you rise, you evolve against it. If it is not there, you will never evolve. You have to see that there will be people. If see, if there is no Ravana, what glory to Rama? If there's no villain in the movie, does Batman have any special this thing? He has to fight villains. He has to beat up some people. Only then he's the hero, right? So is it a part of the play? Absolutely. Can there be a play without a villain? Can there be a play without heroine? Can there be a play without conflict? You know what is the standard approach to script writing? When they write for movies or any story, novelists, the writing principle is, one, you have to have a protagonist. There should be a protagonist. And the protagonist, the journey is following the protagonist. The protagonist needs to be presented with a conflict. Okay? And against that conflict, he has to reach a goal. That is the story. If that is not there, then there is no story. Okay, but in your case, you have a choice. You can be the hero or you can be the villain. That person has chosen to be the villain. That is his decision. Why are you imposing your thing on them? He wants to be the villain. Let him be the villain. No. It's not about what that person is doing. It's about what you are doing. The situation is not there for you to judge the other. The situation is for you to judge yourself. So what have you done? Have you exploited?
No.
Have you done any help?
Yeah, to some extent, very minimal.
Is that all you can do?
No, maybe more.
Ah.
I mean, we don't go to the ground level and do something, but
then focus. See,
yeah.
you are actually trying to run away from the problem, from your responsibility rather. There is something that you can do. Instead of doing that, you're focusing only on the negative. There's a house that is on fire. Your neighbor's house caught fire. Instead of going and helping, there are people who are already putting water. Instead of doing that, you are standing. You've put one mug and you're saying, "Okay, now let's evaluate people." Focus on what best positive you can do. Don't focus on the negative. See, I can also do the same thing. I can say, "Oh, humanity has gone to the dogs. This is Kali Yuga, Gore Kali Yuga. Okay, everybody is useless." I can do that. But rather I'll see, okay, what can I do? What positive contribution can I do? Am I a politician? No. So clearly I cannot make anything at a big scale. Am I a policeman? No. Am I a doctor? No. What am I? I'm a teacher. So I will spread some joy and peace with some community that I am connected to. What best positive I can do? Focus on that. Don't focus on the negative. And this is how you'll grow. Tomorrow, in this process of growth, you might be given a bigger responsibility. That time you'll handle that. You understand?
Yeah.
So this situation is a Leela, yes. The innocent are getting affected, yes. Why should they not? Just because you're innocent, you're immune, is it? It's like saying, just because you're a vegetarian, expecting the lion not to eat you when you go to the forest. Is that possible? You say the lion, no, lion, I am a vegetarian. I've never eaten meat in my entire life. Please don't eat me. Will the lion bow down to you? Oh my God, you're such a great saint. I will not eat vegetarian people. Does the lion say like that?
No.
Just because somebody is innocent, what is this logic that they should not get, any suffering?
But sometimes it feels like unfair, and like in my own
that is your problem. That is your problem. I understand. That is your problem. You have to think about, how do I come out of this feeling? And you will only come out of this feeling when you do a positive contribution, when you move in the positive direction in terms of action. not in sort of thought. You have to take positive action. Only then will you come out of this feeling. That time you will not have time to think about all this. You know what I
So
mean? When
even
you're so let's say you're volunteering for something in the COVID situation.
yeah.
You're
So
so
with rest,
focused on the volunteering that you can't
right.
think about all the other unnecessary cases.
No, with respect to that only, like in our own circle, one of my friends' relative, the person lost her husband and also mother and almost 3 members of her family in consecutively. So we all contributed in some way, I mean, through monetarily, but at the same time, we felt for her situation that she's lost her entire family and she's alone now. We don't know how she would manage, I mean, going forward. So it does, impact you in certain way that,
What did it impact you? What did it do to you?
no, even though I have contributed from my side to help her out or whatever, but
No, I understand. See,
to understand from that person's, when you put yourself in that person's shoes, like you feel that
you're missing the point. See, you speak about, you're at least fortunate. You're seeing so many people. Okay, I'm sure everybody here has seen deaths in all these situations, and it's happened in everybody's family. But what did you take away from it? Siddhartha only saw one death in his entire life. He had not seen death. Okay, he only saw one death. The moment he saw one death, he left his entire kingdom. He went in search of enlightenment. Has the situation pushed you towards Atmagnana? Has the situation pushed you towards your strength? That is the only thing that you can ask. It can only do two things, okay? The situation can push you to your demons, or it can push you to the divinity. Only two ways possible. You can either fall, you can become miserable, you can become evil, you can become, you can hold grudge, you can lose hope on humanity, on life, you can become all that, or you can rise up like a lotus and become divine. You can use this opportunity to understand about life and death, to understand about who you are, to understand about the nature of the world. That is the very purpose of what you're seeing. And that is the very purpose of this discussion and session. So I can give you some grace marks. You have done positive action, you're attending the session. That is the positive action you're taking, which is good.
And also we are, I mean, whatever messages we get, like, this person needs help, like in the form of donation, we are contributing. But when, when we see incidents happening in a very close, circle of friends, so it kind of affects you, like, why is
It's
the
good.
system so corrupted, and why, because of shortage of oxygen cylinders, people are dying. So these things kind of, you start questioning, like,
Yeah, simple mantra.
why is it?
I'll conclude this discussion by saying, don't focus on the negative. Focus on what best positive you can do. Constantly, day in and day out, every day. What positive can I do today? What best I can do today? How can I contribute today? That's all. Just stay focused on what you can do. That time you won't have time to think about all these things. Okay, so we'll dive into the understanding of how the dream world is projected and how the projection affects our lives. Okay, now the dream projection, we did an exercise. Imagine the apple. So all of you just close your eyes and imagine an apple. Can you all see the apple? Okay, now eat the apple. Open your eyes. Can you eat the apple? You can't, because it's just an image. It's a visualization. It's not real. But in the dream, the same mind, when it visualizes something, it becomes real. Meaning you can experience it. You understand? Okay. So the mind has the ability to project an object and also create an interaction with the object. This is how the world, whatever you see, all the objects appear in consciousness. How does objects, when there are no objects in consciousness, how do objects appear in the consciousness, in Brahman? Because Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. How a Mithya Jagat appears real and appears in consciousness, it's exactly like how a dream world appears in the mind, where it doesn't exist, but appears as if it's real. Okay? Now, it's like this. There is a mirror. Okay? In the mirror, you see there is some object. There is the apple. You see the apple? There is a reflection of the apple in the mirror. And there is a space in the mirror. Right? In the mirror, there's a space. There's a depth. There is a height. There is a space in the mirror. There are objects in the mirror. Is the object real in the mirror? Is the apple real? Can you eat the apple? You can't. So the apple is the apple that is appearing in the mirror. Is the apple, is it safe to say that the mirror itself is the apple? The mirror is the apple. So let's say my hand is the mirror. You see an apple in the mirror. In the waking state, you have to have an external object and you see the reflection. In the dream, the mind is like the mirror. Without an original, there is a projection of an object. You understand? There is a projection. It's not like a reflection in the mirror. It is a projection. Just the way there is a appearance of the apple in the mirror, there is a projection by the mind of an object, and it appears to be real. But is there really an apple? Is there really the object? When you point at the object, what are you actually pointing at?
To the projection.
You're pointing to the mirror. When you point at the wall, what are you actually pointing at? In the mirror, in the reflection, when you point to the apple, what are you actually pointing at? You're pointing at a two-dimensional flat object, mirror. You understand? The mind is like that mirror, or consciousness is like that mirror. In that mirror appears various objects. They are appearances in consciousness, but they're not actually real. You can't really eat the apple. They're appearances in consciousness, but when you point to them, you're actually pointing to consciousness only. The object is consciousness only, but consciousness is not the object. In the mirror, when you see the apple, when you point to the apple, you point to the mirror. The mirror is the apple, but the apple is not the mirror. You understand? Sorry, the apple is the mirror. The mirror is not the apple. Sorry. You understand? The apple is nothing but mirror only. If there's no mirror, can the apple be there? If there's no mirror, can the apple be there? The mirror is the primary. Then there's an appearance of apple. That appearance is the mirror itself. But I'm saying the part is the whole, but the whole is not the part. You understand how the dream world works? The dream world appears like how the reflections appear in the mirror. But the reflection in the mirror need a physical object to appear. But in the dream world, what is the physical object that is making the reflection project? The making the reflection appear? In the waking, the apple, the real apple, is creating the reflected apple. In the dream, What is creating the reflected world?
Mind.
Impression.
Vasanas. The vasanas are like the real apple outside. They are creating a world. You understand? That world is an appearance. It's not real. That's why it disappears. Okay, and that world appears to be real. In that world, there is a subject created who experienced that world. And that subject is also created by the vasana. If there's no vasana, there is no object, there's no subject. Both object and subject are reflections in consciousness, are appearances in consciousness. Is the statement clear? Both object and subject are appearances in consciousness, the same way an apple appears in the mirror. But in consciousness, the only difference is both the real and the reflection appear from within the consciousness. Think of it as a game engine. You all play a video game, right? The video game is, in the video game, there's a video game world. There is a battlefield and there's so many characters and you are going there. You are the subject created. Okay, there's a world. Both of them are created by the engine. It's something called as a game engine. The game engine projects the world and projects the characters and you. Similarly, in the mirror of consciousness, nothing can be outside the consciousness. You understand? In the mirror, there's a apple outside the mirror. But in consciousness, nothing can be outside the consciousness. Both the real and the projected are coming from within the consciousness. They appear and they disappear. And when they appear to be real. And when they appear, what is appeared is consciousness only in that form. You understand? What has appeared is consciousness, but consciousness is not the object. The object is consciousness, but the consciousness is not an object. You understand? And is it clear or is it confusing? Clear how the mind does this? The mind projects the object and the subject and experiences. Similarly, consciousness projects, it doesn't project, there is an appearance of the world in consciousness. The world that appears is actually consciousness only. Whenever you're pointing to anything in the mirror, you're pointing to mirror only. Okay, in the mirror you see the reflection of your room, you see the apple, you see the table. When you point to the table, you're pointing to the mirror. Like on this movie screen, there's a movie projected. And let's say you've gone to the movie with the case is in a remote village where a child has never seen a movie. The father takes the child to watch a movie for the first time. He's never seen cinema. So he has never seen the screen. And the movie's already started. And they enter the movie hall, dark movie hall. The movie already started. So the child doesn't get the opportunity to see the screen. So then the father starts explaining. The child asks, where is the screen? You told me there's a screen and on that the movie is projected. Where is the screen? Father says, he points to the screen, the movie. And he says, you see that there's some movie going on. In the movie, they're in the forest. You see the bush there? It is behind the bush. Then the child thinks, okay, it is behind the bush. Behind the bush, there's a tree. It's behind the tree. There is no way the child will understand about the screen until the movie is shut. Okay, then there's an interval. When they stop the movie, then he's able to see the screen. Similarly, consciousness is the screen. And whatever is appearing, whenever you're pointing at the appeared, you're actually pointing at the screen only, consciousness only. Because nothing can appear without consciousness. Like the reflection cannot be there without the mirror. You understand? The apple, can it appear without the mirror? The object cannot appear without consciousness. So when you're pointing to object, you're actually pointing to consciousness only. How you understand this by your dream? Whatever you're pointing at in the dream, you're in Paris, you're pointing at the Eiffel Tower, you're actually pointing at the waker's consciousness, the waker's mind. So whatever is seen is consciousness. The object is consciousness. The subject is consciousness. But consciousness is more than object and subject. Okay? Subject and object are dependent on consciousness. Consciousness is independent of, can exist without subject and object. That happens in a deep sleep. The movie stops and you see the screen. What is the screen? Nothingness. Okay? No world, no body. But you're not aware of the screen. You're not able to recognize it as the screen. That recognition, doing that recognition in the waking state is called samadhi. So when you did Omkara meditation, how many of you experienced this? The mind became silent, no thought. Anybody experienced that? Mind becomes silent after the Omkara meditation. So all the vikshepa stops, the projection stops. Only no world, no body, no mind, no sound, nothing. Becomes silent. That is, no more vikshepa. Then you add the gnana. I am Brahman. I am awareness, pure consciousness. That removes the avarana. Then you enter into gnana samadhi, where you are aware of consciousness and aware that there is no other. So the journey is from the whole point of evaluating the waking, dreaming, deep sleep is to help us become free from the reality of the world, not the world, but the notion that the world is real, and correcting the wrong notion that I am the body, mind, and role. By understanding the world is unreal. How you understand the world is unreal? By the dream. How you understand the dream? By analyzing the dream and seeing that, hey, it's just a projection of my mind. When nothing is there, something is projected and withdrawn. Similarly, the waking is projected and withdrawn. But that doesn't mean, but whatever is projected is also consciousness only. Okay? Aham Brahmasmi and Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. It's not that I am consciousness. The seer is consciousness and the seen is also consciousness. Okay? Any doubts so far?
Guruji, now going back to the, sorry.
Yeah.
You told about the enlightenment. So this enlightenment, in which state will it happen for anyone? In the deep sleep state or in the waking state? Is there a particular
Yeah, so enlightenment, which state? So I have 3 states or 4 states. There is Jagrata, Swapna, Shushupti, Samadhi. On which state will the enlightenment happen? Mukti means Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. In which state is the problem?
in the waking state?
The bandhana and the problem is in the waking state. The dream doesn't trouble you. Okay? The deep sleep doesn't trouble you because it's bliss. The problem is in the waking state. And the enlightenment happens in the waking state, not even in the samadhi, not even in the altered state also. There are experiences called as samadhi, wherein it's like deep sleep, where there's no body, no world. It's a yogic state, where there's deep silence. But the enlightenment is gnana. It's not that it needs to be there only when your eyes closed. Even with eyes open, when you're looking at the world, interacting with the world, you need to know the reality. You need to know this is mithya, Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. So the enlightenment, once it happens in the waking, it trickles down into all the states. Even in the dream, you will not forget you as a self. That means ignorance cannot catch you anymore. You cannot fall back into unawareness even in the dream. Deep sleep, anyway, there is no body and mind. Clear? Shantiji? So are you awake or are you dreaming?
Yes, Krishna. No, I was just looking out of the window. Yeah, it's clear.
So you understand the value of sleep, dreaming.
Yeah.
So there is actually I watched a TV series a long time ago. It's called Awake. In that TV series, the protagonist, he in the waking state, he has some suffering, and he meets a therapist. He talks to a therapist. Then he goes to the dream state, but it's as real as the waking state. Even there, he meets a therapist. So when he talks to the therapist in the dream state, that therapist proves very logically that this is the waking and that is the dreaming. So then he comes to the waking state, there he talks to the therapist, and that therapist proves to him that that therapist is wrong. This is the waking state, that is the dream state. So at any point of time, it's very difficult, almost impossible to say if you're awake or if you're dreaming, because both appear real when they appear. But the key is that they appear, their appearances. The question is not about whether real or not. The point you have to hold is that they're appearances. You're seeing them. And whatever you're seeing is an appearance. And whatever appears is not reality. It is an appearance in consciousness. It is like the snake appearing on the rope. It is unreal. Now, this unreal is not to say, okay, the world is unreal. No. It is make you to question, then what is reality? Fine, this is unreal. What is reality? If this is mithya, what is satya? So it is Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. It's not, you can't take the statement in parts. Jagat is Mithya, but you can't leave it vacuum. Okay, it's Mithya, full stop, no. This is a dream. The reality is consciousness. Okay, and what is consciousness? Sat Chit Ananda. The unchanging reality. The one who doesn't disappear when the dream disappears, that is consciousness. The one who doesn't disappear when the waking disappears, that is consciousness. The one who doesn't disappear when the deep sleep disappears, that is consciousness. One who is there in all and who is not dependent on the state, but the state is dependent on whom? That is consciousness. And that is reality. That is the pure I. I, the real I in you, is the consciousness, self, Atma. And that Atman is Brahman. Yes, Sheshariji?
The question is, like in all these four states, we say consciousness, Atman is a witness. Now, we said like it is the projection of the consciousness. So that means like witness is this Atma itself is projecting.
Yes, the projection is a happening in consciousness. It's an appearance in consciousness. It's a dream. So the waker, let's say there's a waking, you're awake now. Then you fall asleep, right? Do you create the dream? Is there any effort required? It's a dream world, it's a big world, it's a big Paris. Is there an effort required to create the dream? It's an effortless explosion. All you need to do to create that is to sleep. You understand? And what is sleep? Let go of the waking. Narayana momentarily forgets himself. Then he starts dreaming. And his momentary dreaming is a billion years of world. Okay? The consciousness, there's a dream that appears in the consciousness. Consciousness did not create the dream. it appears. Why it appears? Because the inherent quality of consciousness is Satchitananda. It is creative ability. But the only difference is when consciousness dream, it becomes awake. It's Maya. When you dream, it is Swapna. You understand? Individual dream is called Swapna. Consciousness dream is called Maya. But Maya has never affected consciousness. Like how the dream has never affected the waker, the entire creation has never affected. Actually, from the point of view of Narayana, there is no creation at all. In Vedanta, it's called Ajatavada. Ajatavada means it's the highest realization that there is no creation. The enlightened one says there is no creation. What creation are you talking about? There is no creation. There is no dream at all. All this dream, waking, and Maya is all from the point of view of the ignorant to explain.
Better Narayana wakes up so that we can all be there with him.
So Narayana is awake. Narayana is ever awake. That's why it's called later it will come about the Turiya. Turiya is never slipped into unawareness. That's the problem, no? Then who is dreaming? Who is suffering? Who is dreaming? If you ask Narayana, Narayana said nothing is there. I alone am there. It's non-dual. And then in consciousness will tell what object? How can an object appear? Only consciousness is there. From the consciousness point of view, nothing has happened, nothing is there. There's no suffering, there's no evolution, there's no mukti, there's no liberation. Okay?
So we're saying, like, when in the dream I see a Paris. Now when I'm pointing to the Paris, I'm not. It's like actually pointing to the consciousness,
isn't it?
So when I'm pointing to the conscious means is pointing to the witness.
You're pointing to the. Okay, so I'll take up this. I see an object. I am pointing to the object. Okay. Now, can this object be there without my ability to know?
No, because I'm seeing it here.
That is fine. That is from last session. Leave that.
Okay.
So I see an object. The object. Okay, taking that same logic, I see the object. The object gets reflected in my light. There's an image in my brain, and my brain tells it's a phone. But there should be somebody to recognize that it's a phone, no? That the brain can't do. The consciousness has to say, yes, I testify it's a something. So you're actually seeing not the object, but you are seeing the knowing principle itself. So what do you ultimately know? Do you know the object, or do you know the knowledge? Do you know the phone, or do you know the knowledge of the phone?
Knowledge of the phone, because we cannot know the phone.
You cannot know. You can never know the phone. You can only know the knowledge of the phone. Okay, like in a biological term, you can never know the physical form. You can only know the electrical signal that's created by the physical object. You can never know the physical object. You will only know the electrical signal, not even the electrical signal, the interpretation of the electrical signal by a brain. Okay, that's at the biology level. But in reality, you do not know the phone. You don't know the object. You know the knowledge of the object. And knowledge never be separated from the knower, knowing principle. Knowing principle, knowledge is only a modification of the knowing principle. It's like knowledge is a wave in the ocean. It's not separate from the ocean. So when the ocean knows the wave, what does the ocean know? Itself. So when you know any object, you're not knowing the object, you're knowing the knowledge of the object. And knowledge of the object cannot be there without the knowing principle, consciousness. So what are you knowing?
Self. So knowing, that knowledge of knowing would lead to knowledge of, would lead to the self.
Allah, the question was, how, if I'm pointing to the phone, I'm pointing to consciousness. That is the question. How, if I'm pointing to Eiffel Tower, I'm pointing to consciousness, I'm pointing to me? The answer is, when you're pointing to anything, any object, you're not pointing to the object. What are you pointing at? The knowledge of the object. The knowledge of the object cannot exist without the knower. Knower is not the mind. Mind cannot know. Mind is an instrument of knowing, but it has no ability to know. It's like the computer. Computer says, okay, this is phone. It doesn't make any sense. It can never understand what is a phone. A human being has to understand, a conscious being. So the knowing principle knows the knowledge, and the knowing principle and the knowledge cannot be separate. It cannot be, okay, knowing principle is the subject, knowledge is the object. There is no subject object duality in knowing of an object. To know the object is to be the object. The knowledge and the knower merge into the knowing principle. Okay, there is no, it's called Triputi: knower, known, and knowledge. In Brahman, which is a knowing principle, it's not the knower, it's not an entity. In the knowing principle, the knowledge, the knower, and the known merge into knowing principle. So what is there is only knowing principle. This is knowing principle. So whatever you're pointing at is knowing principle, awareness. So by that logic, whatever you point at is what?
Consciousness.
For a transactional purpose, you can say I'm pointing at Eiffel Tower. But from the point of view of knowing principle will laugh. There is no Eiffel Tower, there's only knowing principle. You understand? It's like the mind laughing in your dream, pointing and telling it's Eiffel Tower. You're actually pointing at the mind only. The mind, to create the object, has to become the object. That's the only way it can create the object. You understand? Like in your dream, you touch the wall. What is the wall made up of? Stone? It's made up of mind. So you're actually touching the mind. You understand? Similarly, but mind is not the one that illuminates. It's the consciousness. Consciousness illuminates mind. Mind illuminates word. So primary is consciousness. It is, you're only seeing the light of consciousness in the light of consciousness. You're only seeing the light of the consciousness in the light of the consciousness. There's nothing to see here. The seer is Bhagavan, the seen is Bhagavan, the seeing is Bhagavan. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavini, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam. Brahma eva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. The one who is offering into the fire is Brahman. The fire is Brahman. What is offered into the fire is Brahman. The result is Brahman. The ashes is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. It's a one-man show. Okay, so we'll close for today. It's been a long session. Any doubts? Vivek, is it clear or is it all too confusing?
No, it's clear.
Anybody else? Is it clear or is it too confusing? Unnecessary confusion. कुंदन जी क्लियर है?
बिल्कुल।
मिताली जी समझ में आया? कहाँ है अब दिख नहीं रही? अब समाधि में चले गए क्या?
नहीं समझ में आया, थैंक यू।
तो जो भी देख रहे हैं सपना है, तो ज्यादा टेंशन मत लीजिए।
नहीं ज्यादा नहीं लेती, मेरा वैसे भी सेकेंड डोज हो चुका है वैक्सीनेशन का।
ठीक है। Okay, so tomorrow is actually Shankaracharya Jayanti, Adi Shankaracharya Jayanti. Shankaracharya's contribution to the teaching of Advaita Vedanta has been immense. So let us pay a small respect to Adi Shankaracharya, who is the avatar.
There's some background noise.
Yeah, whoever is not speaking, please go on mute. I think it's coming from Yogaji. Okay. So let us pay our respect to Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya, who's the Avatara Purusha, avatar of Shiva, who gave us the clarity of the teaching of Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, who wrote various commentaries without which this country and the world would have lost this wisdom of what is reality, what is Vedanta, what is the process of Vedanta. Let us bow down to Adi Shankaracharya. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram. So I offer today's session, today's Rishi Yagna, at the holy feet of my Guru and Adi Shankaracharya. May the Sadguru bless us with the wisdom, clarity, and Atmagnana, so that we may realize who we are, so that we may realize I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness, Brahman, Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. There are also so many people in the world suffering because of corona, the disease, and various other related issues. Let us pray to the Lord Ishvara, the universal consciousness, to free everybody who's suffering, to free them from the disease and all sorts of related suffering. Repeat after me. Let us chant the Mrityunjaya mantra. Om Trayambakam Vijamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiha Bandhanat Mrityor Kshiyamamritat Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So, those who have any questions can stay back. Otherwise, we will meet in the next session. The next, we have one more session in this month. I think the 30th or the last Sunday of the month. We'll be contemplating, it's Buddha Purnima, just I think a few days before that. We will contemplate on the teachings of Gautama Buddha, how Buddha approached this whole understanding of consciousness and matter. So what is the difference between approach of Buddha and what is the significance of his teachings? What is basically Buddha's teaching and the practices that he prescribed for enlightenment? That we'll take up in the Buddha Purnima session on the last Sunday of the month. So thank you all for joining. Hari Om. Those who have questions can stay back. The rest can drop off. Any questions?
Thank you, Prashaji. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Guruji, anytime can you, I mean, is it okay to ask anytime, can you tell us how you got enlightened.
When did I tell I got enlightened?
How you got? Did you eat anything special? Some magical thing and got enlightened?
I have never ever made. That's why I make sure to record all the sessions. Okay, I have never ever mentioned at any point of time that I am enlightened. I'll never do such mistake in my life.
So obviously you're able to give so much the teaching and all that. So it always appears that you are enlightened.
Yeah.
That is your perception. I never told. Did I ever tell? Do you remember me telling that I'm enlightened?
No. I thought.
Why did you assume I'm enlightened? How can you assume how can you do such a grave mistake?
But the way
one
you
day you were
explain
talking about.
things, it's so clear, and the examples that you quote, which anybody can understand. So with so much clarity.
If you define enlightenment as ability to teach about enlightenment in a clear way, then yes. But that is not what is enlightenment, no?
No, even today, the examples that you gave, the mirror and the apple, it was so clear for us to understand. Like otherwise it would be difficult for us to,
I have not said anything that my own master has not said. I told you a long time ago.
No,
Whatever I'm saying is what my master has already told.
Okay,
and whatever all the teachers have already told, whatever Shankaracharya, especially today's session, is what Shankaracharya has told. So whatever I'm borrowing from all plagiarism, outright plagiarism, borrowing from all.
Even before, sorry to cut, but even before you started, maybe.
Can you make one more down? Yeah, sorry.
At some point, you might have started teaching or telling like this or thinking like this. So before to that point of time, there should be one point where which has changed, right? Which would have changed.
That I'll tell about. Yeah, the before and after I'll tell. But I won't say it's before and after enlightenment. It is before and after meeting Sadguru, that I can tell. Before and after meeting Sadguru, I'll tell story sometime. It's a nice story. It's very similar to before and after marriage types, no? Before marriage, after marriage, like that. Before meeting Sadguru, after meeting Sadguru. But even hypothetically, even if I was enlightened, how does it matter to you? Does it change anything in you?
No, I'm just curious to know. Yeah,
I can talk about how I ended up.
Because I see many people telling that in certain videos in YouTube. So I want to know what would have happened with you.
Yeah, no, I can talk about that. I can also talk about what happened with my guru, how whatever happened in his life.
Yeah, I watched that video.
Yeah. So everybody will have their own story, but they're all stories. Okay. The pointer of this, the teaching or the mention or the clarification given in the scriptures is in the Upanishad. The one who says he is enlightened is not enlightened. One who is enlightened will never say he's enlightened. The moment you say, I am enlightened, then you're acknowledging enlightenment as reality. For consciousness, what enlightenment? If you're God, what is enlightenment? Right? Enlightenment is also part of the dream.
Wait, you come here. You take this. So. Come. Yeah, come now. Yeah.
Now there are two me's appearing. Sorry, I lost the connection in the system. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll talk about the story sometime.
Because you keep telling again and again that you are nobody. No, nobody in the world has ever told me that they are nobody. So if somebody is telling that they are nobody, then that is something very, very different. And I'm very, I don't know. I want to know. I mean, there should be, okay, there should be some point in time after which moment you started telling that you are nobody. Before to that moment, you were not telling that you were nobody. So at that
No.
moment, something would have happened. That is called
That moment is when
enlightenment. Sorry?
that moment is when you ask the question.
No. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Okay.
I got the question. I'm just kidding. I'll talk about because it is probably might be a little relevant, because whatever I'm saying is it sort of puts back the faith into the system of Vedanta. It's all the credit goes to the system of Vedanta and the realized master who transmit the wisdom. In that context, yes, there is a relevance of before and after, which I'll take up another session.
I think around in previous Atma Darshana, the decoding Gita sessions, I think around 4th or 5th session, you were talking about nirvana or something, or you told there is no concept of soul. Actually, the concept of soul is very misunderstood term. You very not correctly understood term. It is very lightly used in all that. So that's when I went and searched in Google what is nirvana and all that. After that session, I kind of understood that, okay, he might have got enlightened maybe. From that time, I have this thing in my mind, okay, he's enlightened. In that perspective, I keep listening. So that's when every time you tell something, it is like an assurance. Okay, that is why. Okay, that's why he says. You have never told, but it assures me every time you tell something, okay, that's why he's telling me. Okay, that's why, like that. Okay. So you tell nobody now, that is too much assurance for me that you're definitely enlightened.
All I can say is I'm peaceful, definitely. There's
Okay.
peace, there's a lot of bliss.
Okay.
There is clarity. There's absolutely no doubt about what is reality, what is unreality, who am I.
Yeah.
There's absolute clarity.
Okay.
But I won't say I'm enlightened.
Okay. Okay.
Any doubts? Anybody else?
Well, as Pallavi ji said, it would be
All people
interesting
want to drop
know
the
your story.
okay, this person is useless, not enlightened, you can drop.
What?
No, I said all the people who now feel, okay, this person is not enlightened, is useless, can drop the session. Yeah, Veena, you're saying something?
So as Pallavi ji was saying, I think we should conduct a session where you can, tell your story and also about your master, about the transition that happened in your life.
Yeah, that is
I know.
that I like to talk about a lot, especially in the context of my master. I'll tell that.
Yeah, because we have heard a little bit of it when we had come to your house for the last session of decoding Gita. So I think it would be interesting for the others as well in this batch.
Yeah, for all the people who have not have a picture here of my master. Yeah, that is my my Guruji. His name is Prabhuji. I'll someday talk about some incidences and stories. Any other doubts? Vivek, is this clear or is it confusing?
No, it's clear.
I just want to know this. Okay, the enlightenment thing doesn't exist, but if at all, if because I'm attending the sessions, if something wow is going to happen, it will happen while I'm seeing things or while I'm sleeping. Because every night when I go to sleep, I'll be scared whether I'll be enlightened by tomorrow morning.
You are actually enlightened right now.
Okay.
Enlightenment is not happening. The self is the self right now. You're associating yourself with the machine, which can never be enlightened. Please understand, the mind can never become enlightened. The self doesn't need enlightenment. I asked you the question now, who's suffering? Who is enlightenment for? Who will get enlightened? Enlightenment is realizing that there's nobody to get enlightened.
There were many situations, honestly, many serious situations where I have really, really remained calm, especially after these classes have started. But I didn't get in, nothing happened. I didn't get enlightened, even in those terrible situations when I was calm. But nothing
Calmness
happened.
only is enlightenment. Nothing else will happen. What else should happen? Some light should come from hand, some light should come from your hand.
I'm having a feeling that after getting enlightened, I should get detached. I should see that detachment from this body, from
Oh, it's
air,
not the
from
Doctor
water.
Strange movie, is it?
Huh?
Did you watch Doctor Strange movie?
No, I keep listening to these other YouTube channels where nowadays I'm seeing lots of YouTube channels with lots of people are enlightened, and everybody is claiming they are
I'm asking you, how do you know they're enlightened?
They are talking like you, like certain things that you
How
say
do you
they are.
unenlightened?
No, that is I'm sure. Even if you don't say, I am
No,
sure.
that is your bias. That is what I'm trying to say. That is your mental bias. There is no way you can know another person is enlightened until you are enlightened. Only the enlightened one can recognize another enlightened one. Okay? When you say, okay, when you take somebody as a guru, you're going with a blind faith. That's the greatness, of course. That's your greatness as a shishya. That there is no way for you to verify that somebody is enlightened, because enlightenment is not a physical exterior characteristic. There's no way, even if I tell I wear a dress, I do some miracle, I can claim to be enlightened. Even keeping all that aside, you're going with a blind faith that okay, this person is enlightened. That is your greatness. That's not the guru's greatness. That is a shishya's greatness. That he's pushing an ordinary human being to the level of a divine and moving ahead, seeking enlightenment. That is fine. That I'm not denying. But I'm saying until you know who you are, you will not be able to see the reality of anybody else. So stop watching all the YouTube videos.
Their captions are very attractive. Their captions that they give are very attractive, and I click on it, and it keeps prompting me to.
Stop thinking about enlightenment in terms of coming out of body. That's called out of body experience. That is a very medical phenomenon. It's medical. Okay, wherein the patient is in the hospital. It's a recorded. The patient is lying in the hospital bed in the coma. They have an experience that they're looking at their body. It's called out of body experience. It's called subtle body. Okay, it's called bioplasma. And there are Russian photographers who are able to capture the subtle body also in a photograph. Their cameras, highly advanced. Like how with the naked eye you can't see the microscopic. With the naked eye you can't see the subtle body. But there are devices that can see the subtle body. So what you're talking about is subtle body, gross body, subtle body, causal body. But none of the bodies you are. You're not the gross body, you're not the subtle body, you're not the gross body. You're the one that is a witness of all the three. That is enlightenment. Enlightenment is not about becoming subtle body. So that's why that is the relevance of a realized living master. So stick to and there's a tradition, right? The tradition of Vedanta is thousands of years old. And it's a tried, tested system where you put ignorant person, enlightened person comes outside. Gnani comes outside. It's that kind of a foolproof system. And any other knowledge that you're getting, you can take it. Nothing wrong in taking it, but you have to go and accept that person as guru, and that person has to accept you as a disciple. This arbitrary taking of knowledge will not help. Okay, enlightenment is there is a guru shishya relationship. You go to anybody, that's fine, but you need to dive deep into it. Dive deep into one. Does it make sense?
Yes, yeah.
And one more point that you said in today's session that I could completely, relate to with the dreaming state. You said, when you can't project anymore,
Yeah.
you wake up. Like when you cannot project and when the consciousness cannot project anymore, you wake up, and that's what is enlightenment. So it's the same thing I've noticed in the dream state as well. Like when you're dreaming, when when the story hits a dead end, when you cannot continue with the story, whatever the dream characters or whatever you're projecting in the dream, when that stops, you automatically wake up. So
Yeah.
I think, is it similar to the waking state as well?
There's a slight difference there. So that's avarana and vikshepa, I told you, right?
Yeah.
So in enlightenment, that's not the case. It's not that the vikshepa has to stop. The projection will not stop. The projection will be there, but you will know it's a projection. Okay? And the avarana completely goes. There are two things: avarana, vikshepa, covering and superimposition. Superimposition will remain as long as the body is there. But the covering of who am I goes, and the notion that the world is real goes. So basically, the individual goes. I, me, mine goes. What remains is the death of the individual, death of the ego. The ego dying doesn't mean the world will die. The world will remain. The body of the enlightened one will interact with the world for how much of a time the body is left. Once the fuel of the body is over, the projection also stops.
Right. So, but after that, there is no more projections. No? I mean, would there be any more birth for the enlightened?
There is nobody there to get another birth. That is what is enlightenment. Enlightenment means there's no more person there to be born again. Who will be born again?
Right.
When he's alive only, he's dead. That's called Jivan Mukti. There's no entity inside. There's no being inside him. The being is self. And self is birthless and deathless without projection. So no unconscious projection can happen. The another birth happens because you think you are the body and mind. The vasana, like how I told you, the waking vasanas create a dreaming world. Similarly, the lifetime of vasanas create another life. But when enlightenment happens, when you realize you're the self, you become, all the vasanas get burnt. So what will create another life? It so happens that depending on the purification of the body mind, some Jivan Muktas cannot even dream. They'll not have a dream state. Their mind cannot project a dream. The waking they can't escape because it's a gross body, but the subtle body does not create a subtle world.
Can you dream, Guruji? This will answer my question. This will definitely answer my question.
No, I said some Jivan Muktas. It's not all Jivan Muktas.
Okay.
I told you, stages of Jivan Mukti: Brahmavid, Brahmavara, Brahmavarenya, Brahmavarishta. The Brahmavarishta and Brahmavarenya cannot dream and cannot even interact with the waking also. They're practically always in deep sleep time. Any sort of projection is very difficult for them. But for a Krishna or a Buddha, Brahmavid category, they can go. It's just their momentum. It's like that. Why is it like that? It's the play of consciousness. The consciousness is infinite creativity. Why should it replicate two enlightened beings? It will operate like a Ramakrishna. It will operate like a Buddha, beggar. It will be a Krishna, an enlightened king. It will be a Osho. It will be a Mahavira. And it can be like a Jadabharata, completely useless and hopeless. It can be a Ramana Maharshi, completely silent. So enlightenment itself expresses in different ways. So if you become enlightened, it can be a enlightened Pallavi, enlightened Vivek, enlightened Coder, enlightened Sheshadri. Is that not possible?
I have understood that is not in my hands. I'm only from past 2 days. I'm only.
Now I am very certain that you are enlightened. You are saying you're so peaceful in turbulent situations. You're telling you're such wise words coming out of your mouth that nothing is in your hands.
I'm practicing it.
You're definitely enlightened. You're being humble.
No, I'm trying to practice it.
I have been clear from day one that you're enlightened. You just proved it to everybody on camera.
Yeah, she's always smiling and seems peaceful.
See, everybody's telling it. Not only me. Then this is certain. I can see some light coming behind your head.
Halo, like I think once they had put a picture also. I think picture of a halo behind them.
Beena, if you come on video, even you will have light behind.
Yeah, all this is just trickery. You are enlightened. I know that. See, Vivek also has light behind his head. So it's called Vivek.
I have two.
Two lights. Vitali is ultimate enlightenment. No body also, no form. We all have forms. She is without form enlightenment.
No sir, है बॉडी है बट आज वीडियो स्टार्ट नहीं है क्योंकि हम लोग एक साथ बैठ के सब सुन रहे हैं.
वो सब कहानी है. सच्चाई दिखता है. आंखों में दिखता है सच्चाई. अब देहातीत हो गए. Okay, we'll close. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
I was just joking. Okay, Pallavi, you don't feel bad.
No. It is telling end meeting for all to me. So I'm afraid if I can end or not.
You're the host. You are the enlightened one. You can end everybody's.
No. It's the recording should not get disturbed. I want to watch it later. That's why.
So don't take anything I say seriously, okay? It's just joke. I was just kidding. I'll tell the story sometime.
Okay. Yeah, sure. But is it okay if I end meeting?
Yeah. We can end now. Yes, end it.
It will not disturb the recording?
I think the moment my system shut off, it got affected. But let me just check once it's done. Maybe
because it got shut down, it moved on the host to Sumanji and then it moved on the hosting to me, I think. It kept on moving.
Then it's fine. Then it will be there in the cloud.
I can end.
Yeah, end it now, yes.
I should stop and then end.
No, just end meeting for all.
Okay.